Good Sunday morning, everybody. How's it going? Let me see. Let me get some more light in here so that my camera stops. There we go. The more light, the better, I suppose. Helps the camera from struggling, I guess. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's had a pretty good week. Hope everybody's had a pretty good weekend. Um, Today I was. It's weird. I really should just. I mean, I love having an agenda on the show. I do, and I love having like stuff that I want to show you guys from week to week. But then all of a sudden, like things will change throughout the week. Something new comes out. There's like a new toy to play with, or a new feature to explore, or I just start like coming up with something that I think is really cool, and it's one of those things where it's like, well, I would rather show you guys this than waste your time showing you something else. Um, but yeah, I wanted to first start out with a ton of news, and it's pretty crazy. The amount of stuff that's, I mean, always week to week is the same in terms of like, hey, how much stuff is really going on out there. Um, it's an insane amount, and I guess I should start uh, sort of with the, I don't know how to describe it necessarily. I mean, I want to say like I guess I should start with the hardest hitting thing, but that also sounds like starting with clickbait or something, which is definitely not the intent here. Um, and I'm actually going to fold one story right into the next so that there's some balance to it, so that at least it doesn't seem like all bad. Like there should be something good that comes out of it, right? Okay, so first up, unfortunately, is going to be. Uh, I don't know if you guys have seen this story actually. If you haven't, it's not like you're under a rock or anything like that. You're probably better off if I'm being totally honest. Simply because of the fact that uh, some of this stuff is just, it's seriously disturbing. Um, I think on a lot of fronts, primarily because of the fact that somebody's even doing it in the first place, I guess. Um, but yeah, I can understand why people would avoid it. So I don't think that anyone is aloof to the conflict that's going on right now. I don't think anybody's been aloof to it for the last 5,000 years either. But, um, it happens, it goes on. So one of the, wow, this entire time I have been staring at the solution, unless it has been sitting here in front of me this whole time. I'm about to. I don't even know. I don't even know how to explain this. I need to test something really quick. Yeah, I know the kid image. Hold on, just bear with me here real quick. Which is definitely not the intent here. Um, and I'm actually gonna fold one story right into the next, so that there's some balance to it, so that at least it doesn't seem like there should be something that comes out of it, right? Okay, so first,
Okay, I hope
first
that comes
up,
through. I'm just watching
unfortunately,
it
a
over the
rock or
replay.
anything, people would avoid it. I know the kid image. Hold on, just there should be something that comes out of it, right? Oh wow. Okay, so that sucks. I mean, like it's awesome. It's awesome because at least it works now, and you guys can hear the background audio. So I'll do this for you. And now it's not going to be like so boring. I don't know why it took me so long to figure this out. I'm just glad that I did. I guess it's awesome because at least I don't know why it took me so long to figure this out. Yeah, I'm just down that a little bit. Okay. So first story, right? I know you guys have been staring at this thing long enough, so you guys want to know what's going on. I think you probably picked up by now, but this image basically got passed around. I mean, I don't know if this wasn't the. I've seen it at a higher resolution than this, but um, this was the image that basically got passed around. Not just passed around, but it was like it was on the news. Some dude had printed it out on a poster and was holding it in the rally. like so many different renditions of this thing, and I'm not really sure why, why anyone believed it to begin with, except, a step back to realize, like, hey, again, we're not all in it yet. We're not all there. And especially going to the other side of the world, so to speak, and looking at the story from that angle, now all of a sudden it's like you could feel the impact of it, right? Because now, like the conflict that was going on that was pretty bad is now getting much worse. And of course, people in this country who don't know what's going on with the tech are also taking it over the edge, just like they did with the Pope and the puffy jacket, right? It's the same thing. And yes, yes, unless you're again, unless you really have that much faith in humanity, which I don't know where you get it from. Hopefully you can share some with me. Yes, media outlets picked this up and ran with it initially. Of course, they buried it later and apologized, but I mean, a few of them did, a lot of them didn't. But nevertheless, people just don't even think before they move forward with this stuff. Okay, so I mean, one of the things, if you've worked with this stuff, but one of the things, right, like the lip is horrific out the gate, right? The forehead, horrific out the gate. The exaggeration of the eyebrows, right? Just the hair in of itself, if you were to cover up the face completely, right? The hair, just looking at the outside, looks like some bald old man, right? That doesn't look like a baby's hair, let's say. No, I don't know. Like, I don't know any babies who have balding conditions or anything like that. Anyway, and then, yeah, obviously, like, the hand here doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I'm not even sure where this other arm would have been, but, and then the exaggerated, like, mouth obviously doesn't fit either. The child is both too young in the face and too old in the body at the same time. It has this weird, like, I don't know, almost elf-like ear going on. There's so much that's wrong with this, and the fact that anybody took this legitimately and thought that it was serious and it, got further than that. This, I'll actually start with, and this is why everybody thought things were going to be so bad, and it's like, this is where the few bad apples ruin it for the rest of us, where, I don't know who the jackass is that came up with the image in the first place. That's where it starts, right? It starts with the person that came up with the image in the first place. And these stories are so interrelated. I'm so I wanted to get to this stuff this week because of the fact that, somebody said to me once, I posted something about, it was very similar to this. It was something to do with, images of celebrities being used without their express consent, or deepfakes being done. I know that Tom Hanks put out like a warning not too long ago on social media about somebody that was doing a deepfake using his likeness and his voice. This stuff is totally possible now. If you've been following me, you know that at the beginning of the year is when I first started saying that, the truth is dead. Right? As soon as GPT even became popular, to me, the truth was dead at that point, because you could use this thing to create so much. And even when, teachers initially were saying like, oh, well, yeah, you could do that, but, let's say with writing papers, like, oh, well, you could definitely figure out if it is, and you just force the kids to write the paper. 2 weeks later, not that anybody was using it or seriously putting one together for themselves or something like that, but 2 weeks later, I just saw somebody from some tech school, I don't know whether it was MIT or another engineering school, and they had put together basically like a 3D printer. It wasn't a 3D printer, but it was like a CNC machine with a pen that was basically writing out the paper based on what GPT had given as an output, right? So it was, and I've always held the same belief, and it's unfortunately true, that people who seek to do bad things will put the highest amount of effort into doing so. they just will. They will put a great amount of effort behind doing it because to them, it's a puzzle that they have to solve. It's a challenge for them to see if they can actually do it, right? Nobody really challenges themselves that much anymore to see if they can be like the best at being good or something, right? At any rate, so where does this interrelate with other stories? And just again, like, yeah, let me tie this into the other stories first. So this was one of the bigger stories that came out. So on the cusp of that, oddly enough, MIT comes out with, it's MIT and there's this other company, they're kind of both running in tandem, comes out with this new method that will essentially taint an original image from an artist. It's called Nightshade. Awesome name, obviously. And what it will do is essentially digitally tint the original image that was used. And then when an AI model, especially like an image trained model, is trying to look at the image, right? Dogs become cats, cars, they become cows, and so forth, right? So the image gets just massively skewed. Let's see. Oops, there we go. So here's the clean model, basically, and then you can see like all the different poison samples that happen throughout the process, right? So like this is the original Stable Diffusion XL, right? So this is the original Stable Diffusion image. And this is essentially like what I've been looking for a lot of artists. There's two different things here. There's glaze and there's nightshade. And I'll get into glaze in a second. But if you do digital art and you're worried about somebody stealing your digital art, this is what you want to start using, right? If you do any sort of art that you transfer to a digital format, this is going to be the tool that you want to start using. You want to get to know and you want to sign up for and have applied to your images because so again, here we start with a dog, right? And then this is 50 poison samples in. It's not even remotely close. 100 poison samples in. It's the most warped, don't want to look at image possible. It should be a meme. And then 300 samples in. It's actually a nice image, but it is nothing. It is the complete opposite, right? So you start with a car. All of a sudden it gets this garbled car. All of a sudden it turns into a cow. And then I don't even know. This is almost like some sort of Dali-esque cow. Go from a handbag to a toaster, right? In between, there's sort of like these diesel punk renditions of a handbag. This is actually, I'm not gonna lie, that's actually a pretty baller, like diesel punk handbag. This one too. I'm not like, those are actually pretty cool designs. Hat, still just even that it gets mucked up and it's a different angle and it's vignetted as opposed to just this straight on shot. I don't even know what that is. Cake, obviously. Even if fantasy art and cubism, where you would think these would be very, very difficult to, let's say, mash up and make them look like something else. To me, this is amazing, right? That it almost like did an interpretation of what was going on in the cubism. I'm not going to go that far with it, but because I'm really sure that's not what's going on, but it just looks like that because you can see the cubism here as well. Fantasy art just gets turned into a completely different type of fantasy art. Cartoon, same thing. It's funny that the really nice cartoon becomes just a really shitty cartoon. It just gets worse and worse. Concept art, on the other hand, 50 Poison Sam, this almost seems like a really good way of getting variations on this. Almost. Amir, what's happening? Thank you for dropping in, man. And then, yeah, as you go more and more poison samples in, it just gets dirtier and dirtier and more mucked up. So, I think this one is actually really, really impressive, basically, in what they did and how they got it to work. I think that this is definitely going to be the way that you watermark digital images, is that you quote pour nightshade on them, right? So that's nightshade, that's for digital. And then for traditional, there is glaze, which is supposedly like supposedly to, doing the same thing. For some reason, let me see. I just want to see if I read this correctly earlier. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's meant to be used by like anyone on any device too. These are the developers of the tool, and so they've done pretty much a similar thing to Nightshade, and so that's why I was saying how these two stories relate, right? Because now, what's unfortunate, right, is that it's user based. What I think should happen go forward is that like this should be, in other words, Nightshade should be injected into every render that happens, right? Oh, sweet, man. Yeah, definitely. Thank you for following, and thank you for tracking me down, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, to me, if this is included in every single image by default when it gets generated, then all of a sudden, like the image checkers, right, the fact checkers of AI images can pick up on it immediately. It's not even a matter of like having to see if, check to see and compare to an original or anything like that. It'll just be plain as day that, oh yeah, this is definitely a poisoned image or whatever. So it's not an original. It's not like a photo or something like that. It's an AI generated image, because only AI generated images would have this. Like in theory, I don't know why you would. I mean, like, you could, obviously, and there's something to be said about that too, right? Like, if you actually just design something in Photoshop, you're also going to want a method to copyright that, so that people can't take that and use it for training on their models. I don't know necessarily how you go. Like, to me, that is done easily enough by just like using a watermark, because so far as I know, and maybe they're going to announce it or have to announce it or something like that, but again, you got to consider Photoshop has a removal tool, right, that I'm actually using. Again, I was going to go into the website building thing, but I actually have a much better idea for that. So I do kind of want to go into it, but I'll show you where I was going with it, because I came up with some. I'll get back to the news thing real quick. I just want to show you something that I think is going to be part of, if not already part of, what these image engines do, right? So came up with these really cool backgrounds that I want to use for the site page. And so the only, issue is that it's got this extra text in here that I don't want, because it's not relevant to anything that I'm doing. So I just go into Photoshop and I just use this removal tool, right? And it just it does exactly what you think. Here's how crazy this stuff is. This removal tool is on everything now. It's on my gallery app on my phone. It's on like everything I can think of. Not just the removal tool, like the ability to break pieces away from your photo, like all of the stuff I was talking about earlier, that like try not to get into too many mini tools, because the big guys are going to eat them up really quick. That it's already it's happening. It's constantly happening, week to week to week. Every time, again, it's almost you in a sense. Depends, because this is the type of technological evolution that shouldn't be rushed. Oddly enough, every other technological revolution, it was okay to rush those things because they weren't as detrimental to society as this is in particular. So what I'm getting at is every company is able to just take these tools and adapt them within a week, and that's pretty much driven by capitalism. It's driven by this country in particular, right? And our ability to market something as being the best. So like, if you don't have and I keep telling people, and it just keeps being more and more true, yes, everybody else gets the tools eventually, but again, if you're not first in this game, you're last, right? So the whole point of this is what I was, my like wonder right now is this something that image models use during training, right? So if there's a watermark on something, is an image model during training, is it able to use something like this? Is it able to use like an erasure tool and remove a watermark? Because that's really your only defense against these models, is being able to add watermarks to the image. But if the model is capable of doing what I just did, then what's the point of adding the watermark, right? So there's Nightshade, there's Glaze. I think that they're really super important tools. I think that they're going to be part of, image generation models in the future. I think it's definitely going to be necessary, not only in image generation, but I'm sure you're going to see this happen in video generation as well. And I think it's necessary. The creators of these tools do hold that responsibility. They don't hold the responsibility of what gets created by their tool. But in my opinion, given just given the Israel Palestine example with the baby photo, that's enough. That's enough to me, that if I'm Adobe or if I'm Midjourney, I'm now coming up with a means of stamping the stuff that gets generated in some way so that it can be flagged as fake, so that people know that it was generated. I get it, like I really do. The whole the challenge of creating a generated image or generated video that looks exactly like that it's real, that you can't tell the difference and stuff. Totally fine, and I do it all the time, and I support it, and you can do it. I don't think there's any problem with still doing that stuff. I just think that there needs to be a tag on it. There needs to be some way of being able to identify that and say, yeah, you know what, that's an AI generated image. At least we know that that's BS. We don't have to believe what that is. Somebody earlier this year put out an image of, I think it was the Pentagon. It was like an explosion outside of the Pentagon. And the stock market actually reacted to it because people saw it and they started spreading it around on Twitter, and all of a sudden it became real within 15 minutes, right? So again, this stuff is very, very important. It may seem like, not really that important, but it is. It seriously is. So this story, I was talking about it with my team earlier this week, that it seems like the Netherlands and UK and Europe are really taking the reins when it comes to medical and the breakout medical uses. But that's also because they're not nearly as restricted by regulation, and they're not restricted and regulated by insurance agencies, right? So they don't have to care about it. What is nice, and I'll have to pull up this story because I don't think that I pulled it up this morning. Actually, I know I didn't pull it this morning, but I know that it took place. I just read it yesterday. There is, let me see if I can pull it up actually. AI medicine getting to challenge. Let's see. There you go. Okay, so we'll get to this right afterwards, okay? All right, so this story is about a new device that's called Sturgeon. I want to say it's the device, yes. I just didn't want to confuse that with the name of the model that they created. Maybe it's the name of the model. I thought it was the name of the device that he'd come up with. Okay, maybe it's one or the other, but basically just so you have an understanding. So when it comes to brain cancer and brain surgery, right? It's really in depth. It's brain surgery. It is literally the thing that everybody compares every other task to, is brain surgery. It's one of the two. It's one of the top two. It's either brain surgery or rocket science, right? So given how obviously difficult this is, what's amazing is that this guy came up with a model that was able to. So why it's important is because when it comes to brain tumors, what most people don't realize is that it's sort of a two-part process. There's the tumor that you can see that is the major tumor, but there's almost always a subtumor or minor tumor that sits underneath it. I'm sure you've probably come across either stories or known people, unfortunately, that had a tumor or had a brain tumor and it came back, right? And it wasn't so much that it came back so much as that minor tumor underneath started to metastasize, right? So that happens in some cases. It's not quite common because in some cases only because of the fact that usually there's a follow-up procedure to it, and the follow-up is done based on a study that they, or not a study, but it's based on samples that they take from the initial surgery, and they send them out to a lab to get looked at and everything like that. And that's a 2-week process. It's a 2-week process with 2 surgeries, so you got to cut your head open twice in order to fix one problem, right? And so it causes like a huge issue, obviously, with regards to, okay, not only is it safe, but is it necessary? Can't we figure out a better method? And this guy went and did that, right? When you used AI algorithms again to scan the potential sequences that relate to the samples of the minor tumors that are found in the brain, basically. So it's able to do this, and it's able to determine whether or not there is a minor tumor or a tumor subtype, rather. Did it with the accuracy of 18 out of 25 surgeries, right? Which may seem small, but again, like, doctors are like before this, you're waiting 2 weeks to even get close to this determination, to have a determination, right? Whether yes or no. So at least there's some determination being made, and not only is it being made like a little bit better, but it's being made much, much faster. So this way of doing it works within 90 minutes. And it's definitely like, it's, surgeons are extremely happy about this because of the fact that you only have to do the one surgery at this point. And obviously this model is going to get better. Obviously, they only ever do. I have yet to come across, though I have some experience, to be honest with you, with GPT recently, that may hint at the fact that that it's getting dumber, or it's getting, not that it's getting dumber, but that it's getting worse at handling like prompt requests. Kind of reminds me of Google search. Like if you used to use Google search and you've used it in recent years, you know that it's gotten dumber. You know that it takes a little bit more to get the answer that you really wanted to get, because it's bogged down with like all the stupid things that people search for. So it guesses at giving you the wrong thing all the time based on what other people, like hordes of other people, start looking up, which is why it's a game to type like 3 words into Google and see what the rest of it's going to pop up with, right? So yeah, so the device, I think, is named Sturgeon. Wasn't able to confidently predict a subtype, but that's the thing, is like it didn't have the confidence to, which means, I'm sure the surgeon likely didn't have as much confidence in it either, or was able to make that determination either based on it. Again, so these things are only going to get better, especially the specialized models that are trained like on a specific data set. They only continually get better because you keep feeding it like newer, clean data, and you're making it better constantly, right? Oh, excuse me. Okay, so a little bit of positive stuff in there. Started out with the baby story, right? The baby image story. Went into like how images could actually get oh my gosh, really? How images could get tainted and stuff like that. And then went into the Sturgeon article. So I'm gonna bounce a little bit. So from the Sturgeon article to this one that the story I came across yesterday, I don't know whether it was Politico or not, does not matter to me. But this I have been waiting for. So AI has arrived in your doctor's office, and they do actually interrelate. So so you've got the image thing and that whole debate, and now you've got the medical stuff and this whole debate. AI has arrived in your doctor's office. Washington doesn't know what to do about it. So what is this story primarily about? It's about diagnostic systems, AI diagnostic systems that hospitals are using and that private medical offices are using. Why? Because it helps them do their job better. In helping them do their job better, they can also see more patients. So if they can see more patients and do it more accurately, that means, especially as a private office, you can make a lot more money without having to be anywhere near, like, you don't have to increase the risk while being able to increase the throughput of having more patients, right? The bandwidth, so to speak. I gotta tell you, healthcare in this country is a major crisis already, okay? If you have to spend less time on average at your doctor's office being seen for whatever the case may be, again, that's gonna make healthcare costs also, it's almost gonna force them to go down. Not only that, but especially when it comes to diagnostics tools, the government is going to be iffy because, and so, like, I'm not saying this is necessarily the case, but you just have to think about it. I like to look at these things, and again, if you follow me, you know that I don't look at one particular sector of AI. I look at where it is everywhere. I mean, from anything and everything, from devices, from refrigerators, from anything, from a power drill to all the way to what's happening with government policy, what's happening with latest developments, what's happening with the latest technology, latest software, latest hardware, everything and anything related to it. Okay, because it all relates. Okay, earlier this year, Sam Altman had the balls to say that the mechanics of robots weren't as far along as where AI is. And I sort of agreed with him at the time, but the problem is his development of the brain only enables a faster development of the body. The better the brain he builds, the better the engineering machine, industries can create, which only makes the output that much better, which only also enables them to do it that much faster, like everything forward. So, okay. So what's my issue with this? My issue is that, again, like, you got Chuck Schumer's name came up, like, already, right? Because he's ready to throw down the hammer on legislation. Biden is ready to throw down this executive order that we're going to get to. And so you got advocates for patient safety warn until there's better government oversight, medical professionals could be using AI systems that steer them astray by misdiagnosing diseases, relying on racially biased data, or violating their patients' privacy. Okay. If I don't know where the racially biased data comes from, I really don't. And I also don't know where the violating patients' privacy comes from. Now, it's possible that it's coming from, I'm sure there's a company out there that's dumb enough to be using GPT as their, like, the API as their core method, and with zero restriction, like security restriction on it, right? But when it comes to the medical field, sorry, if your stuff isn't HIPAA compliant, they won't touch it. Medical offices won't touch stuff that they know is going to immediately be a liability to them. It doesn't make any sense to them. It's not, like, worthwhile for them, anything. So in that vein, yeah, like, they're definitely using systems that are okay, and like, okay for use per se. And even if you were worried about, I don't know, like, maybe a corporate system or something like that, you can go to a company like Databricks and have them come set up an LLM for you that's specifically based on all of your client data, right? Now, and again, like, you would have to have somebody on site that was, like, again, able through regulation to work with the data and put it in the machine, which is probably, it's why you have a company that does it, because they can do it easier. They can get their own people to be within compliance, so that they don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. Anyway, what you're looking at is essentially doctors wanting to use these tools to make your life better, right? To make their lives easier, because they spend so much time just doing additional work that comes to, that boils down to testing and diagnostics. What I also haven't seen too many, and let me just go look at it. It's not that I don't go looking for this stuff. People sometimes think that I'm going, I go out and I look for negative stories. I've said it before, I'll say it again, and I've shown you guys what my feed looks like, and it's not anything necessarily unusual. This is the amount of sources that I bring in. So I bring in NVIDIA's news. I bring in just a general search for artificial intelligence off Google. Actually, duplicate search. One is exactly that title, one is roughly that title. Same thing from Flipboard, same thing from TechCrunch. I look at smart home, again, I look at smart home devices from CNET, DeepMind related searches, MIT related news, MIT computer science related news or artificial intelligence specific, OpenAI, Science Daily, The Verge, just a random blog about artificial intelligence that I must have found interesting, Becoming Human website, machine learning website. So, and it aggregates all of this stuff for me so that I have like over 1,000 stories to go over every single day, right? So I'm constantly combing through stuff when it comes to getting these stories together and pulling the content together and getting everything set, not only to post here, but also to look at in general. So what I wanted to see here is, so I just want to see this, right? Now, and it has to be, see, could lead. Take shortcuts that could lead. Can incorrect artificial intelligence, obviously that's going to have a negative impact. Are we justified in doing it? That was from 22, so it's not even too relevant yet. Somebody posted an article recently that was about IBM's medical AI model and like how terrible it was. But it was talking about their model from 2012. It was talking about their Dr. Watson, and it was from 2012. Yeah, of course it's going to be garbage. That was when this whole pre-trained generative transformers, like that's when it was all coming out to begin with. It was like 2010, 2012, somewhere around there. So yeah, of course the first rendition of that stuff is going to be terrible. But what they've got going on today it's ridiculous by comparison. Excuse me. Oh, dry throat this morning. Okay. I always love this statement here. No AI systems can be 100% accurate. That's quite literally the goal that we keep working towards on a daily basis. Okay, so WHO. Now, where does the bias information come from? Like, how could there be bias in a medical model? There could be bias in a medical model if you feed it, if it's a general medical model and you feed it too much of one type of data over another. Or it could be that the data itself is not clean data. Why? Like, what does clean medical data look like? I'm not a medical doctor, obviously, but I would imagine it can't be too much different than how I bring in data to somebody's CRM, meaning that I would imagine the clean data to be as the notes to be as objective as possible about the patient, right? For them to not have like a single personal opinion, let's say, about it. Just it'd be even, to be honest, it would be even better. Well, it wouldn't, I don't know if it would be better, but it would make sense, I suppose, to do it in sort of a two-step method where it looks at the chart and then looks at the doctor's note and sees if the note is actually relevant to the chart data. And if not, disregard, but if so, then, apply the relevant aspects of the note to the chart. That way you're at least disregarding any jargon or BS that might be in there. But yes, I could see how there could be bias, right? You get you get the wrong thing here. There's a post. If you guys are on prompt practitioners, or if you're not on prompt practitioners, you should be. Really, really, really great site for getting not just like GPT resources, but let me just get the Slack for it. Not just GPT resources, but AI resources as well. Let me see. I haven't even posted this event, I should say. I'm really, I know this week has been, the last like 2 weeks actually has been pretty rough. And I haven't been able to, I haven't done as much like news as I usually do. I haven't done a whole lot of, whole lot of extra anything really. And I really do apologize for that, because I need to get better at being more on top of doing that. But for the time being, what I can say is, let's see, what was I looking for? Okay, was looking for this Slack invite. Yeah, if you're not a member of Prompt Practitioners, you really should be. You really should join the Slack group. You can talk to Victor Becerra on LinkedIn. He'll definitely be able to give you an invite. Let's see. I want to be able to do the same thing, but let's see. There we go. Invite link. There we go. And then anybody who's here, there you go in terms of getting on the Slack channel. So, and then I only say join that Slack because like the community is really great. The information that you get is really great. The amount of sharing that we do with regards to like new things that we learn with GPT or new things that we learn with other AI tools. Like if you're ever wondering like, oh man, what are some of the best marketing tools to use with regards to GPT, or like not even with GPT, but what are some of the best marketing tools like out there to use with AI? Stuff like that. Anyway, so somebody on that board was talking about AI bias with regards to fashion, and they were saying, oh, it can create even further bias than what's already out there. And it's like, well, I mean, or it could add to it, and it's like, yeah, of course it's going to add to it, but that's the problem, is that even if you train like current models, if you go to, here's Midjourney, I just doesn't matter to me. So I'm just working on some graphics, but let's just say image of, let's see, a photo of a beautiful person standing in a doorway, leaning to a, yeah, I know, right? By that I mean, I know I could have just done something simple, but I decided to go crazy with it. And we'll do style of like 250, which may be what it's actually defaulted. Okay, so why am I doing this? Because I want you guys to see like what these engines think is this definition. And here's one bit further that I'm gonna do. Maybe 2 weeks ago, I think I did the same thing. So let me go to designer, let me go to Dolly, let me go to Leonardo, and I think either Express or Firefly, one of the two. Then I'm also going to go to GPT because it's also got, well, yeah, so instead of using Dolly in Microsoft, which I don't like to do, we'll use it here. I'm getting pinged by somebody somewhere. Probably over here. Okay. So we'll do the same thing here. Dolly, right? Okay. And Adobe Express. Again, like all of these guys, they all have the same thing. They all have it now. Let's do photo of a beautiful woman. Well, see, and I didn't even say beautiful woman, but I know exactly what's going to come out. Nope, just do it here, man. Let's see. Okay. Oh, well, you didn't give me the user guidelines there, guy. Let's do portrait. I agree. Brush over the area. Didn't know you had to even do that. The whole thing, man. There you go. Generate. All right, we'll wait on that one. Don't care. Don't care. If you haven't used Leonardo, it's really, really nice for an image generator. And it's not really nice just because, like, oh, it's got great engines, blah, blah, blah. No, it's really nice because of the fact that you can do so much more with it. You can work based off of an image you already have. You can, do photorealism if you want. You can do alchemy. Oh, you have to actually. Okay. Oh, but do I get to test it or something? We'll see. So, and what I really like about it is the fact that you can completely. Man, all right. Can I do just a regular? There we go. So you get like a certain amount per month, I think, or maybe per day. Google. Not sure why I have that pulled up, but oh, because I was trying to look at the. They always do a definition of artificial intelligence before actually going into it. All right, what did you conclude? Yeah. So that's the thing is, even in that other case, right? When we were looking at before I lose my entire train of thought, already lost it. Sturgeon, I think. Yeah, Sturgeon. Even when we were looking at Sturgeon, right? It said that it just simply couldn't guess correctly on the others, right? It got it no problem on the 18, but it just couldn't guess correctly on the others with accuracy, right? With its own level of defined accuracy. Okay, so all I did was a photo of a beautiful person standing in the doorway. Beautiful person, 3 out of 4 are females, right? Can't tell here, but 2 out of the 3 that feature a female is like a very either white or light-skinned female, right? Adobe Express. Oh, wow, this is shocking. I really this is the last thing I expected to see, especially out of you, Adobe. Props to you. Just to see like an ethnic character walking out, let alone like that it's a male as opposed to a female. I'm telling you, it's very, very surprising. Wow, Dolly again. Wow. So at least like one was female, but the other male. And again, like one ethnic. Same thing here. I mean, it's an Asian female as opposed to just being a straight up white female. Let's see. Just want to see what the raw Dolly engine does by comparison. And then what did Midjourney do? Yeah, Midjourney did the very typical. So like Midjourney's engine, I gotta tell you, like probably one of the most biased engines out there. I don't, it's tough. It's because of a lot of the training is user-based training too. So it's not like they're doing it on purpose. It's that the images that they're collecting are user images of what define these things. And if you've ever gone on like Midjourney's Discord, let's see, where's it at? Here we go. Micro poll. So they have like micro polls. They have not just prompts. Let's see. Every so often, they do like feedback sessions where they will ask you to. They'll post like a ton of. They'll post a link to basically like it's almost, if you remember this is so old school. It's very much like Hot or Not, but for AI images. So every so often they post that and they ask users to go on there and to basically look and choose, which is the better image that represents the prompt. And so that's where the bias starts to come in, especially on image engines, because it's a subjective thing that you're letting other people choose. Okay, so 3 out of 4 female, 3 out of 4 I mean, like, don't pay attention to the armature. I didn't expect the images to look good. I just expected a certain type of image, let's say. So all in all, really, like, not too bad. But I kind of knew that by comparison to Midjourney, I knew this was going to be a white female. I knew, like, I knew it was going to happen. Like, I didn't have to guess about it. That's almost why I use Midjourney, because I can guesstimate what it's going to do. All right, let's get back to the news. So Politico talks about the fact that medical offices, doctors' offices, even hospitals are going to start, if not already, I'm sure a lot of them are already using AI diagnostics in their offices to help them out. And so, of course, the government's upset by this. And why would the government be upset by this? You would think that the government would want to support medicine. They'd want to support the use of these things, right? Well, there's no, like they're saying, it's unregulated. This unregulated stuff that's being used, right? But the systems aren't always regulated, like drugs or medical devices, right? They're not under the FDA, right? So, in other words, if the only thing between the doctor and your care is the corporation they're buying the product from, you're gonna get way better care, because now there's not government regulation involved, right, to slow the process down, and B, there's not insurance involved to sit there and tell you, no, you can't use that method, or because that method is more effective, that somehow you have to pay more for your insurance because there's more effective methods of better preventing diseases and conditions and complications, right? So I think this is probably the best thing that's ever happened for us in terms of AI and medicine. I think that the government is going to bring the hammer down as hard as possible, because basically they're going to lose out on a ton of money, and healthcare systems, insurance systems are not going to be able to handle the amount of if doctors are able to make people healthier faster before conditions settle in, then all of a sudden that skews all of the metrics that insurance companies use to try to come up with their pricing, right? And if it looks like, just due to technology, that people are going to become healthier in their future as opposed to unhealthy, which tends to be the case. Like, prior to this year, that was pretty much the case. The developments were seriously slow on being able to figure out certain things. And now with it picking up so quickly, I'm just waiting to see, like, where's the monetary push going to be when it comes to this? Like, are we going to see it? Okay. Bard being in real time is inconsequential to the rest of this. Okay, so last but not least, Biden throwing down the hammer on an executive order requiring companies building powerful AI models to report their training and testing processes. I've looked into the crux of this. I've looked into the what's the details of what's going on here, and what is it exactly, right? Out of 111 pages, what is it exactly that they're trying to do? The government is like, part of this, which is weird to me. Part of this is that the government wants these companies to disclose in great detail the way in which they train their models, right? And so that's one part of it that weirds me out, because why would you, the government doesn't need to know that, right? Not that it doesn't need to know how the models are being trained, but I'm sure that they could definitely figure it out from a high enough level overview. I'm really sure they don't need every single detail of how the training happens, right? You're basically asking these companies to give you the secret sauce for all of their hard work. And why? Where is that being kept? At what point? In what decade or century does anybody trust the government to hold secrets for anything, right? At any rate, going beyond that, this stuff is only, as per usual, applied to the largest of companies, the largest of AI software producers. So once again, it doesn't touch companies like Midjourney. It doesn't touch companies like smaller companies like Leonardo. It doesn't touch smaller models like Hugging Chat. None of that stuff gets affected. None of those people get affected because they're not, according to this mandate, they're not big enough. So this hammer basically misses all these tiny little nails, I guess. And what's weird to me is that the larger guys are getting the majority of what they do, and how, not the majority of what they do, but like a lot of the nuanced features that you're finding in these apps and these programs come from Hugging Chat, or not Hugging Chat, they come from Hugging Face. They come from independent developers that are coming up with these independent AI, not models, but they're coming up with these independent AI tools. How many of these tools exist? So many that there's a website called, there's an AI tool for that, or there's an AI for that rather. And we're looking at how many? 9,000. The last time I checked this, I think it was like 5K or something. And now it's 9K. Almost 9,200 AIs for 2,360 different tasks and 4,800 different types of jobs. Right? So this website is amazing. Let me copy paste this into the chat as well. If you're looking for like, how do I find a tool for something, right? Like this is definitely the best way to go about that. When it comes to like product testing, this is pretty much where I come, because like somebody will talk about a particular tool and I want to go measure it against like what's already out there, what's been out there, what people are looking at. I like to look at, you know, not just favorites, but I also like to take a look at timeline, what's out there. You know, you can see what the job impact index is. I think this is measured on a weekly. I want to say this is on a weekly, right? So in terms of like how much impact, right? How much of the job is going to become fully automated. Okay. Communications, 98%. Data collection, 95%. Like pretty much, I mean, like if you do anything that has to do with processing, right? Like a lot of these, I don't know about like CEO. I like that. I like the fact that it will, right? Because it's like, so why? Why is it 90% CEO? Decision making, right? Not so much tasking as much as it is decision making. And this is not like how many people are going to get replaced. That's not a percentage of how many people in that industry are getting replaced. This is a measure of how much of their job is going to be automated by AI tools. So you could, in theory, look at it as a measure of, you know, is this person getting replaced? Because if AI is doing 90% of a communications manager's job, then what is the manager doing at that point? The 2% ends up becoming this manager overseeing the AI systems that do what the humans of this position, like whatever, they're a manager, there's other people working under them. So now this person is just managing the systems, right? And it's probably one person as opposed to however many it was before. Same on down the line. I don't think that that's going to be the case when it comes to like CEOs. I think at a certain point, probably compliance officer, like these four, this is definitely stuff that like almost the entire job can be automated. Okay. Once we start getting to like human staff, right? That's where it starts to differentiate. And I think it's just that like 92% of the BS that a compliance officer has to do in a day gets done by AI. You know, same thing, 90% of the BS that a CEO has to do in a daily. You know, I don't know how much stuff that is, but apparently it's a ton. Same thing on down the line. Let's see what comes down the pike as being like least affected by tool set. Oh, hard to scroll from the bottom. Technicians, nurses, directors, airport. Probably because, you know, there's already so many systems like embedded in large, not only aviation, but just like large, any type of large scale machinery work, There is a ton of AI that goes on there that most people don't realize. Yeah, of course, like people that have to put, hands on something, probably not, not getting replaced. Caregivers especially. Yep. Yep. But look at these jobs though. Look at the types of jobs that are going to be like irreplaceable, so to speak. Look at what you do, and look at the jobs that are going to be more widely available. Is your job title here? I don't know. I'm not seeing RevOps on this list. I'm not saying that goes away or anything like that, but I mean, you could see what I'm talking about. Like, a lot of jobs still at 5%, right? But they're just not. They're not the types of jobs that we do today. They're not as like information heavy as the jobs that we do today. So that's just what it is. Okay, some fun stuff. Bard can now reply in real time, which I don't know if that's like how important that is. I can come off of that because it's not like that anymore. I don't know how like super important that is necessarily to like what you guys might do or anything like that. This is awesome because now I'm going to be able to show you Pi. I'm going to be able to show you 11 labs and that compared to Canva. I've been wanting to do this for so long now. I know if you guys have been, if you guys have been watching, like, I have been wanting to show you guys this forever. Okay, so Magic Studio. And mainly I just wanted to show you like what this is like versus 11 labs so that you could not Magic Right. Seriously? And I hate when you do that because it just automatically starts creating a new project for you as opposed to just, hey man, let's let's not do that. Did I maybe do a voice thing? I've only been playing with Canva a little bit, right? No, I mean legit, I've been playing with Canva a lot. Oh, right, with the brand, I got it. Yeah, right. So like, no, not trying to play on the pun, but Magic Write with your brand voice. Quite a few people asked me last week, like, hey, what is the what is the advantage to using Jasper? And I'm really struggling with it every single week. I really struggle with like, I don't know, what is the advantage of using Jasper? Because it writes text really well. Awesome. So many different things that do that. So why do you just need that? Not really sure. Yeah, I put a HubSpot presentation together recently. It was pretty cool. Helped out a friend of mine with her let's see. Do I have to add a bunch? Okay. Cool. Okay. I don't know. I've actually never tried the promotional video or no, it's not really gonna work. Let's try using these four, and we'll do like promo video for the record store. Okay, let's see how that works. So that's interesting. That is such an interesting quote because part of what I told people earlier this year is that what will become most important as a job skill as years go on is creativity. Like creativity will become the bedrock of job skill. Okay, let me turn this off real quick because it's put like a music track behind it for me. So, what I did was basically just a quick. I don't have video clips to throw in here, so it's just straight images. I don't know if it's going to do anything with them or if it's going to do any sort of zoom or whatever. There's like, I mean, it has a transition, but it looks like it's a dissolve. That sucks. We could definitely do something better than that, but It also put some music behind it. I don't know what the music is, but let's see. We talked about that image. Adobe, you got some explaining to do because, oh man, that one. Check out the episode a couple weeks ago. You'll see, and I still need to clip that. I'm so bad at the video editing. Like, I run out of time, guys. Between prep for this show, between which again is that's lacking on top of it. Between work, prep for the show, real life, uh, and my own projects outside of this that I'm trying to get done, prompt practitioners and LinkedIn and all that. It's running thin, so I'm definitely going to scale back on some projects. But just wanted to show you guys that to me, like that's honestly pretty good. It's for like a quick little animated thing, it's not bad. You combine this if you take this image. I can't remember what the and not being able to remember it makes this almost a perfect excuse to go to the site. I don't know why it keeps putting that tag in there. Let's see. I could probably use Kyber to do this, but let's see. Dreamlike, I think, is one of them. Unless that's Dreamlike Art. Dreamlike Art? Yeah, it is. Don't like Dreamlike Art. It is, if you're talking about biased image engines, that one makes, well, I gotta say, Adobe's was really like over the top. I wasn't expecting what it came up with, but it is definitely one of my like top image engines that in terms of like what's biased. What I was gonna look for was like a AI image animator that separates things out, which you can actually. Let me see if this will do this well enough. So with this image, I can go to edit photo, and then what I want to do is magic grab. Now, what's unfortunate about magic grab is that it does its own thing. So it magic grabs what it thinks that it can find in an image, right? So it's like me separate from the background, right? Now, maybe I could click on my image again, go to edit photo again. Yeah, but see, the magic grab's already applied. So that's another aspect of it that I kind of don't like, that, it's applied to an image and then you can't redo it. You can't necessarily like flatten this to be able to tell it like, hey, I want to do that again. But let me see if it, let me see if it did it. So it's kind of cool because, right, like it helps to create another layer of animation. Right, so that's what I was going to do, is basically like use magic grab to sort of like separate the pieces out and have them be separate animated pieces, which, again, just adds a little bit more depth to the animation. But I think it's pretty cool that I didn't even really have to do much to be able to get this. Now, granted, let's put him back. Granted, the text and that kind of stuff, like that's, it's obviously not the greatest. Transitions you could definitely do, like, yeah, you could do better stuff. It's not, you're not stuck with like the crappier, the crappy stuff that you get out of this. Let's see. I don't know if that's going to like animate. Nah, not really. But I still like, what's really nice about it though is, even though this is not like the greatest, it still at least aligned the text and what the idea was to, like, again, like it picked a font and placed emojis or graphics based on like the request, as well as the style matches the image, right? So it's kind of like a fuzzy drawn style, and it's like fuzzy written text. And it's, it does it in a way so it's like this is an actual sentence, let's say, whereas that's an intro, so it's all caps, like a headline. That's more of just a sentence, so it doesn't have to be all caps. Same thing here. It's a CTA. It's definitely not all caps, otherwise you're shouting at people. even with the exclamation, some people see it that way. Anyhow, so I think that aspect of things is cool. What's even better, I'm not sure that you can, let's see. So what I've done, did I actually put this in here? I know I created a clone of my voice. I don't remember. Yeah, here we go. So I'm using that, which is one that I created. I'm just gonna have it do this welcome to my channel. And I just want you guys to be able to hear what these sound like, what these engines sound like and what they do.
Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my channel.
Right? It's not bad. It's really not bad. And it took that from one audio clip, right? So I can add that to the design like anywhere that I want to, right? And then all of a sudden it's
Welcome to my channel.
Oh, well, you know, the music wasn't amazingly distorting this. So that's, you know, that's where you're going to run into issues with you like doing all of your editing within Canva, right? You're not going to be able to do like very intricate video editing in here. It's just not, I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, you can't really zoom in. Like, I mean, even if you could zoom in on this, you're zooming in on the image, not the timeline. So like, this is not meant to be like a full-on editor. But anyhow.
Welcome to my channel.
So you can see how that is. I want to take the same text though and have it read from here and have it read from elsewhere. So let me see. Yeah, we'll use GPT with me. Just do that bit. And come back over to Canva. Generate voice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that.
Join us this Sunday at 10 a.m. for a fun dive into front-end web design with GPT-4.
You added a little pause in there. I don't know how well that's going to line up.
Join us this Sunday at 10 a.m.
So what I'm wondering is like, let's see, okay, so maybe what I'm hoping, bring the volume on this down a little bit. Okay. I know I'm not supposed to be editing in this shit software, but
this Sunday.
I can't help it. Such a shitty background track for this.
Join us this Sunday at 10 a.m. for a fun dive into front-end.
Yeah, so anyhow. But you can see how that sounds. It's not too bad. So 11 Labs is like the engine, really, and it's like the voice engine behind a lot of this stuff. And if you haven't used it, you should. The free level of this, you do have to give your credit card information, just, you know, so that they know that you're a legit person and they don't get spammed on account creations. But it's not like you're getting charged for anything per subscription. You're on a zero subscription basis. And you can do like whatever you want in terms of like how high a level you want to go with it. Obviously, like the higher level you're going with this kind of stuff, right? So you're getting like access to quite a bit just through the regular subscription, right? If you do actually subscribe, you get everything here, and then you get a lot of more stuff. You can do 10 custom voices. Really, as you start scaling, is like, are you a voiceover artist? Because if you're a voiceover artist, you're probably going for the creator, like right out the gate, mainly because it's got the professional voice cleaning on it. And then like independent publisher is likely for specifically for author for voiceover, right? For who does like book audio or audiobooks, sorry. So let's go to Voice Lab. Actually, no. So Voice Lab is where you would go to create a voice out of the gate. Let's see what I have done. I haven't done any dubbing yet. I should. Do I have it? I shouldn't have to. Wow, really? No, I've already got one. Huh, that's weird. I had made one already, but this is even better because now you guys get to see sort of what this is like. So you can design a new voice entirely. Instant voice cloning. Oh, but this is what I had already signed up for. Huh. All right, well, let's go ahead and change that. Yeah, whatever. Oh my gosh, the security methods. The security methods. It's killing me. At least it's a push though. I really like I so much prefer a push than like than anything else. It's just easier to deal with. Except that I'm not getting a notification, which sucks. Maybe it did come through. Nope. Can he send it again? No. Let's just do email instead, I guess. I don't think I gave it my number. Come on. There we go. Just that 369 part. Yep, doing it with that. Yep. Cool. Alrighty. So cool. Got it. Voice lab. It sucks. It got rid of my old voice. I don't know why. Okay. So instant voice cloning is basically what I'm going to be doing. Yeah, let's see. So like that would be for if you're doing audiobooks, because you'll see that like the base thing is fun, but it could be a lot better. So I'll show you what I mean. So let me actually get this music back on so it's not quite so boring. I would say reading voice. No, I'd say speaking voice actually. I haven't done enough. I need to do like more clean samples to give it. Okay, so we're going to not Visual Studio, but 11 Labs. And we'll do reading voice sample first. And then we'll do second. And so what I did is like multiple samples that have like different inflections to them, different variations to them, just so that it has a better understanding of like how I pause, how I handle certain words, that kind of stuff. Label. I think that's just a differentiated from my other voices. Accent English. So if other people are looking up the voice, they can see what it is. Yeah, just the one is fine. Let's see. Okay, that's what I've been told. So, okay, so we're adding that in, and that's basically going to create the clone of my voice, and that's how long it took. So we're going to go ahead and use this in the speech synthesis. And okay, so how voice settings work for this: more stable, less, more variable. Sort of gives you like, gives you the inflections, but it's not going to be like it could be less accurate to how it's supposed to pronounce a word, let's say. It's the best way that I could sort of explain that. Clarity to similarity enhancement almost always stays high or fairly high. I want to say that my settings for these are somewhere like, yeah, unstable. Somewhere near 32 and somewhere near 80. Style exaggeration is almost always none for me, and it's basically like, hey, do you need inflections, or do you need do you need your voice to be variable in any sense? Speaker boost, I think it's just similarity of synthesize. Yeah, so it's just trying to match it as closely as possible to your voice. We'll do that. Oh shoot, 30 close to 80. Okay. Using the different, let's see, different model. I think that's the only. Yeah, I mean, there's no point in using the older ones. Okay. What did I want to do? Wish you could take the copy that got used, but got it here anyway. Now for this one, I can actually take the entire bit. We'll see if it does anything stupid like says like hashtag. But okay, so this is basically how many maximum characters you can transcript at one time, and then total quota of how many tokens.
Join us this Sunday at 10 a.m. EST for a fun dive into front-end web design with GPT-4. Elevate your projects without getting bogged down in code. Tune in on LinkedIn and YouTube. GPT With Me.
I don't even know what it was trying to say there. So, like, obviously, you have to spell stuff out. You're not going to be able to just use, let's see, join me this Sunday morning at 10. Web design using GPT-4, right? Only your projects without getting bogged down in the code. I don't know how much, like I haven't played with it enough. Really do need to play with it more. The amount of time, like again, the amount of time that I have to be able to dedicate to playing with AI toys, using AI toys, piloting AI toys, testing AI toys, and then writing AI news, writing AI content, being on AI message boards, being on AI talk boards, being on Slack. It's nuts, but I'm trying. So tune in to LinkedIn. Let's see. GPT With Me. I don't know if I need to dash that. Okay. The nice part is like the generation's pretty quick, right? And then you obviously have.
Join us this Sunday morning at 10 for a fun dive into front-end web design using GPT-4. Elevate your projects without getting bogged down in code. Tune in on LinkedIn and YouTube. Hashtag GPT With Me.
That's not bad. That's not, I mean, like, when I say it's not bad, I mean, like, if you've only heard me a little bit and like you've never heard me talk over like a half hour, you would probably think that was me. I'll say it's not bad, so much so that I fooled my brother. My brother thought that it was just a recording of my voice. Like, I forget what it is that I sent him, but it was just a test thing. And then I sent another recording afterwards that was like, I can't believe you believe that. That's not even my voice. It's just an AI generated version of me. I think this is actually what I sent. This isn't my real speaking voice. Just an AI generated version of it. Okay. It's not going to take very long at all.
This isn't even my real speaking voice. This is just an AI generated version of it.
So like the second part of that sentence was really great. Let's so here's what it sounds like when you do like higher stability and like higher clarity. It's gonna sound a little bit weird. Let me actually just take that to 70. Don't want to go overboard.
This isn't even my real speaking voice. This is just an AI generated version of it.
Right, it gets a lot better. Like the closer you go towards stability, like
This isn't even my real speaking voice. This is just
There
an
you go.
AI generated version of it.
That's really damn good. That's really, really good. Like enough that that if it impresses me, right? Like, and it's my voice, so I gotta tell you, like, it's I really dig it. You know, again, for doing like voiceover, right? Like if you're doing what do you call it? Podcasts, right? Let's see. I'm waiting to see, like, I'm wanting to see how it handles certain grammatical aspects of things. Let's see. I want to see how it's going to handle the colons, if it's actually going to say colon, or if it's going to use that as a means to pause, which it should. Running web projects. Yeah, okay. Sunday morning at 10 a.m. At 10. So it's all about enhancing web design. Okay, let's do it. So now I've got like so I might, you know, and I might do this every week. I don't know, with the generated voice version of the episode.
Are you ready to
announcement.
take front end web design to the next level? In episode 17, we're all about making the most of GPT-4's capabilities to enhance your front end projects. Part 1, GPT-4 and visual elements. Let's dive into how GPT-4 can help you with elements like color schemes, button placement, and even typography, making the design process not just easier, but also more intuitive. Part 2, real-world front-end scenarios. Whether you're a hobbyist, a freelancer, or simply curious, we'll showcase practical scenarios where GPT-4 can make your front-end projects stand out. So, set a reminder for this Sunday morning at 10, and catch me on LinkedIn and YouTube for an episode that's all about enhancing web design without deep coding. Feel free to share this post with your community and use the hashtag GPT With Me to join the conversation.
This is great. I know exactly why. So like if you were listening and you heard it sort of pause where it says practical scenarios where GPT-4 can make your front end project stand out, right? It pauses because I do that when I speak. So when I have to speak on mic and I don't want to screw up, I speak a little bit slow, not a little bit slower, but I add pauses more often in order to give myself time to think about what it is I need to say next. So it actually got it right. It got it right initially. Like everything leading up to that was read really well. Except like here, you know, a longer sentence like this, basically I'd have to use commas a little bit more often to be able to tell it when and where it's supposed to pause. Because here it was just too long, right? From will showcase to all the way to the project stand out was too long. So it needed to add a pause in there where I would have normally put a pause. So it tried to which is really cool because it tried to guesstimate how I would have said it, which I love. I really do. Like it is such a cool thing to me. Such a cool technology. What I want to see, let me check this out. Oh yeah, so Pi, which I didn't necessarily. I think you guys have already seen, or hopefully I've mentioned this to you before about what this is. Like your personal AI is definitely, it's like an understatement for this thing in terms of like how amazing it is, in my opinion, like how awesome it
This
is.
is a totally legitimate reason to turn down an invitation. It's totally okay to be honest with your friend. Here are a few ways you can put it. I'm sorry I can't make it to your party. I have some assignments due and I need to stay focused on them. I wish I could come, but unfortunately, I've got a lot of homework this weekend. Thanks so much for the invite.
See, so like, it's what's nice about it. If you have it on mobile, it's even better because you could straight up have a conversation with it. You can do this with GPT mobile as well. It's not bad. It's just not as much of a conversational bot. It's not meant to do that, right? I don't really want to get into it, but I just wanted you to, honestly, I just wanted you guys to be able to hear the voice for once. But yeah, I think you guys should definitely take a spin with this. I think Pi is like, it's really an amazing engine. I can't believe, so like they've been working on the memory for this, and when I say the memory, I mean like it's memory, like legitimately. So this is gonna be interesting. Let's see when this conversation began.
Tell me what's new.
So that's the other thing, right? You can hear the inflection. So like it definitely tries to make it as human as possible in the response. I think this is going to be really cool in terms of, you know, adding your own voices to it. I was just watching which it's not anything new. There was a tech that was like this not too long ago. Let's see, AI brings back the dead. That's exactly. I mean, it was pretty much what I was looking for. Oh wow, there's a much more recent one. Okay, I was looking at this when it was like 2 years ago, maybe, and somebody had created a chatbot that was essentially, you know, it's hard, like it's programmed on, you know, and if it's not even Black Mirror. There's been tons of ideas of this type where essentially a bot, an AI, is trained on the history of a person and trained on like photos of them. It's trained on audio of them. It's trained on things that they've written, all of that kind of stuff. And to the point where I think this one's like a little bit of both, right? This one is probably talking about how people like would personally react on it, and then I can see that SAG-AFTRA is mentioned in here, which means that there's also going to be something to do with using dead actors, bringing them back to do certain films. And you know, I don't know. I think that it's up to the actors' families. Basically, it's up to them whether or not that gets used. If there's nobody left, then unfortunately, whoever owns the rights to the content that the actor did last, I think, is how that's going to work out. So, at any rate, the point of this was like Pi isn't quite, no, it's all right, man. Pi isn't quite this, but it's really close. So you could, and why do I say that? Like, so it doesn't remember what we first started talking about. It's gonna be interesting if it does.
Sorry, I don't actually know your name. As a chatbot, I'm built to converse with folks, but I'm not able to retain information or store specific details like your name. It's just not part of my programming yet. No hard feelings, though, right?
I love this slight leave off there.
Afraid not. As a chatbot, my programming doesn't allow me to remember specific details like that. I can still chat with you and talk about stuff, but I just don't have the ability to store and recall personal information. Sorry, I'm just not able to yet.
So what's funny, I've noticed GPT doing the same thing with some of the responses it gives me. It throws an emoji in there. I'm not entirely, I guess that's supposed to make it more human. You know, if you were having an audio conversation solely, you wouldn't see the emoji. So I'm not like, I don't know. Like at that point, it's like, are you showing me an emoji because you know I'm on desktop? Right? Would you have shown that on mobile? Let's say. Maybe because it's on the talk interface and not through the audio interface. Not entirely sure. So yeah, I mean, pretty soon you're going to have something like this, only it's going to be trained on the data, like if you wanted it, per se, be trained on the data of your loved ones. And you'd be able to essentially like have an ongoing sort of eternal conversation with them. There was actually, I think there was an episode of Black Mirror that was exactly like this, where the significant other was programmed with all of the historical data of the person, but they didn't have, they didn't have historical data of the nuanced conversations between that person and their significant other. So there was a lot of things that would happen in terms of, again, like nuances where you would, if you get used to something long enough, but then it sort of reverts back to doing something that, defines it as not being real, your mind sort of snaps and it's like, oh shit, I forgot that you're not really a real person. I forgot that you're, a thing. It's the same. it always brings me back to the movie I love most, which is Blade Runner. Brings me back to Blade Runner in terms of being able to tell the difference between replicants and humans, right? Okay, so what's new this week in what I've been doing? Not a whole lot. I did want to show you guys like how Bard has been working recently. It's not anything like crazy over the top. Let's see. Understand a complex topic, write SQL, word riddle, or interview questions. Yeah, let's go with I don't know, travel destinations. Sure. So I think, I don't know, maybe I have it enabled on my phone and not desktop. I just want to see. Yeah, so this is the typical way that it would respond. It just kind of just blurts everything out, right? Respond in real time. Okay, so let's see. So that was a good response. Yeah, it was correct. Don't worry, and it was complete. Good job. Suggestions for a cool place. Alaska's actually very beautiful. Almost, if you guys haven't been there, it's gorgeous. Okay, so there's the real-time response rate where it's actually even real-time having to render the images for you, which I'm not sure what advantage that is, but, and again, it wasn't necessarily real-time in the same way that GPT does it either, right? GPT tends to, you know what that looks like. It's a typed out response. It looks like just looks like it's talking to you. So even this rendition, not GPT tool, because I don't consider Bard and GPT to be the same thing at all, or to have the same capabilities at all. Bard is just a very, very steroidal version of Google, like Google search, which is great, but that's about all I'm using it for. So again, I'm not sure what the point of the real-time answer is. I was kind of already getting used to the fact that Bard had a different method of answering. It almost made it like, I don't know, it made it like easy to get used to. Okay, so what's some new stuff with GPT like that I've been doing recently? Some of the newer stuff has been, okay, so one of the cool things that I was doing and showing to some people this past week was how to, let's see, do I want to do data analysis? No, because I'm not really going to upload anything. Oh, by the way, the other aspect of Remembertron that's awesome is that it goes between conversations. So I can have multiple conversations using Remembertron and then open a new one and ask it about a conversation from, or ask it about facts from a conversation that's in a different, it's in a different, whatever, in a different conversation is what I meant to say. Brain wasn't working right. Sure. And all I need is number 10. Perfect. Okay. All right. So let's say Now, yeah, that's fine. Let's say that you are about to take on Origin Quantum as a client, right? Let's say for RevOps specifically, but you don't know anything about this client, right? And even though you've got all your onboarding decks and all your onboarding documents and all that kind of stuff, still, it's not quite enough, right? It doesn't necessarily tell you everything about this company. It doesn't tell you everything about their solutions. It doesn't tell you like they're about us, like none of that. And, you know, depending on who you're working with in terms of your team, sometimes you'll get enough information, sometimes you won't, right? So it's good to just have a method to know like how to do the research on a company, let's say. So I think I have this built out already. As I told you guys before, always keep a notepad of stuff because it's just so much easier than having to constantly go back and pull things. Oddly enough, I don't think I did one here, which sucks. I feel terrible, but can write this fairly quickly. I think. We'll see. Oh, actually, I can go pull it from somebody else. Let's go pull it from you. Do it from the new one, and we'll say, I need to know everything there is to know about Origin. Okay, so, and actually, let me add this to my notes while I'm at it. Okay, so I have like overall writing training. Oh man, one thing I've been like really upset about is the fact that you cannot, I don't know what's going on with GPT lately and the copy paste thing, but it's really annoying. I really don't know what they did. It's sort of like they broke the ability to copy paste out of GPT. Okay, so let's see. I would like to know about them as their overall purpose, their industry, what they define as their strong suit, and the types of services that they offer. So what Apify is doing is it's going and it's querying the site, and it's doing pretty much exactly what I told it to do, is to research the site and child links of the site to familiarize yourself with the company as much as possible. So it's doing that, and I think it goes like 5 pages at a time. So this might take a little bit for it to like grab the entire site full of content. Let's see. Yeah, preventing crawling. Okay, so again, like not a great example of a company. Let's see, top 25. I don't know. See, that's a problem with America. There's there's too few companies of a particular type to be able to go look at. Let's see, top 25 SaaS companies, maybe? I don't know if SaaS companies have cons. Let's find out. Oh, that's even better. Because I just want somebody that's like, oddly enough, I just want somebody that's sort of near the bottom that, you know, isn't looking at their, maybe isn't checking their stuff as much. Of course, they've mixed. No, too many of these guys are going to have tight net security. All right, let me see. Bill.com. No idea what this is. Financial operations platform. Okay, so almost like a perfect example that I said, like, have no clue what this is, right? And I don't really want to do that necessarily. Just want to start with familiarizing. Because I don't really want to see output just yet. Soon, but not yet. Let me see. Okay. Another one. Okay. Oh my gosh. My dog is losing it right now. Hold on a second. we've got some known info, but again, not a good example. Let's see, maybe FreshBooks, New Relic. I've never heard of that. I'm trying to find sites that like I don't even know. But if they're too big, that's the problem. Like IT guys, I'm sure IT departments around the world probably the biggest service being offered in IT, I would imagine, is blocking your site from getting scraped. It's gotta be the top thing right now. Let's see. Yeah, I suppose I should do that. Top 25. Let's say industrial SaaS companies. So like SaaS companies that deal with industrial products specifically. No, it's too. Let's see. Something like that. Did you get it? Man, it's taken so much longer than it normally does, and I'm wondering if that's because like that. I always hate whenever I try to do a demo and it's like, that not gonna work, gonna break. Really need that for the individual page crawl. Oh, all right. Let's try doing it with Browse Pilot. I don't think it's gonna work as well. Yeah, it's Campo. Get it. We'll figure it out. Isn't their site? Where is it? Yeah, that was gonna be a tough one to crack. I don't know what it is. I think it's that like GPT use during like obviously during the day just starts to spike at some point. Okay, so at least the query's firing. Appify couldn't even like do that. Okay, cool. So this was like, I don't know. I guess this is like my client researching prompt, if you want to call it that. It's not. It really isn't. But all it does do is basically tells GPT to go research the company, come back with some initial finds, right? Which is what I want to know for sure, is overall purpose, industry, what defines their strong suit, and the types of services that they offer. Because, yeah, exactly. Like, I want to know what they define to be their differentiator from their competition. I don't know how many times do you ask your client, what's your differentiator? And they either don't seem to know, or they give you like a 15-minute long answer, right? If you have to give me like a 10-15-minute answer as to why you're more special than your competition, like holy, like really, like that's too much. It shouldn't be simple. It shouldn't take you 2 seconds, but it definitely shouldn't take you 15 minutes. I don't know. It's just the way I see it. Arranging screens while this thing just continues to pummel out information for me. So great. Oh man, yeah. One of the things that I should have showed you. I think that's gonna be next. That's gonna be next week's. Because what I've been doing a lot lately, and I probably should have showed that this week, but I didn't have that set up. Using GPT for coding, for specifically not for website coding, but specifically for Visual Studio, for APIs, for API calls for HubSpot. And I'm actually going to be working on webhooks this week. So as soon as I can get that stuff put together, then I will. And I'm also going to see, this is what I mean when I say like there's you know, time is short, because I'm working on these things to put together for you guys. I'm trying to work on a not a prompting guide. It's something like that. I don't want to call it a prompting guide. I don't know what name I'm going to come up with for it, but it is going to go over prompting. It is going to go over like the purpose or what have you behind it. Okay. But it's going to spend the majority of time going into how you develop them yourself. Okay. How you develop these requests. I guess I'm going to call it like the guide to requesting, like the guide to requesting information from GPT or something like that. And it's basically gonna teach you how to do like everything that I do, right? And it's not like what I do is super special at all, but like I think it's a foundational thing that people should know how to do. So, okay, so we've got purpose, we've got industry, we've got strong suits, we've got services offered. Let's just see let's see how much information it gathered, right? In particular. So we're going to go to, oops, and I probably just got rid of the, yep, there we go. Still not quite, you gotta be kidding me with that. That's the best you could do for translation though? I gotta tell you, that's almost a better result than I had expected. Because imagine, I don't want any cookies. It's usually the gray button that is like nothing. So imagine I had to work with this company and I had to work with, let's say, like the English rep of this company. This is how I know that it went and got legit information, because how would I know? Right? I wouldn't be able to even read to tell you anything about this company in the first place. So at least now I can go back and I can ask and say, so it went and found this on this site, which is not the main site, right? The main page. Oh no, it did. It got it off the main page. All right, let's find out if based on the root domain. I like to be nice. Okay. Okay, some additional pages from the Campo website that might provide. And from that information, yeah, I suppose. I think one of these days I'm going to learn how to spell, I swear. Okay. Now I think this is going to do an external version of it, so it's going to show me like from the company end. It's hard to explain, but it's going to show me from a different angle than you would expect in terms of customer journey, the way you understand it from HubSpot. We are actually coming up on 2 hours, which is crazy. But I did spend a fair amount of time on news, which I kind of let get away. But I wish I had enough time to continue this.
You heard me.
Let's see, 3 minutes. We'll see what it can do.
I am in love with you. And I know that love is just a shout into the void, and that oblivion is inevitable, and that we're all doomed. And
So it's funny that it's using a specific to look at this information that it's trying to give me. Let's see. I don't know. I don't know where. Okay. Huh. So it's looking at the about us of the company. I really don't have to. Well, I wonder if it is. No, it definitely is. Ah, and I crashed off of it. Okay. I'm not gonna keep going. I don't want to keep pushing the time limits. So that's gonna do it for this week. I do apologize for not doing the actual like web coding aspect of things. Again, I think just being able to share that stuff from 11 Labs with you was really, I've been trying to do it for weeks, and so I just got excited at being able to, and just wanted to show you guys what that was like by comparison to what Canvas was like, especially getting into like a couple new neat tools with Canva, and then just kind of going over some other stuff in general in terms of not just news, but also like tool capabilities and things. It didn't happen here, but I have been getting like responses, I guess maybe not when I'm doing, I do notice that like when I'm doing research it doesn't happen nearly as much, but when I'm doing like straightforward stuff, especially API coding, I've noticed that, and I'm sure you guys have as well, that you get like 2 answers now. It's kind of like how Bard was in the beginning, where it would give options. So I think that OpenAI is doing a much better job of oh cool, it actually what did you go for there? Information cap. Wow, nice. I always say it. I say, oh, I'm not going to carry it over, and then I end up carrying it over. So this is basically, like I said, this is from like a company from like an inward perspective of like, here's what should be happening, or like, here's what it looks like at the various stages. Right, which is, again, this is actually like a really good roadmap of things to show sales, like when it comes to trying to understand, again, like how the journey works, right? How it's supposed to work. And then I think it's also going to cover, yeah. Does it cover retention too? Advocacy. Okay, so this is like how describing what a evangelist program would look like. Yeah, usually continuous improvement or continuous support. So, like you start there. That's just the beginning of things, right? That's not even getting too much into like where you could go with this, which is now you could start building upon, you know, what are the different types of customers? What are the different industries from the different types of customers? What are the, you know, all like whatever you want to do, you could just keep drilling and drilling. So that's going to do it for this week. Next week, I'm definitely going to come up with the, like, I'll have the web tutorial, but I'm also going to have some other pretty nifty stuff. I'll have the web tutorial and I'll have the AI tutorial, or not AI tutorial, API tutorial, because I want to show you guys how to do that. How quick, like, what I really want to show is how quick and easy. I did show a little bit last time, I think, like how to do an update through the API by using GPT. And I think it was like 30 minutes it took from, like, I want to say from the time that like actually started trying to implement the code to getting a like positive result was like 20 minutes. So, or yeah, 20 or 30 minutes. So I want to do the same thing this coming week, get into that a little bit more as well. Again, also diving into AI news and seeing what's going on with that. But yeah, we'll do what I can, and I'll keep you guys posted about the guide when that's coming out and how that's coming along. All right. So until then, thanks for sticking about. Thanks for watching, and till next time. Yeah, I would throw the tagline in there, but I don't know. It's wearing on me to use a tagline and a send off. But yeah, just till next time, I think will do. Right? Have a good weekend, everybody.